Talkin Money.
And we're back to Talkin Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah. Hour 202, while it lasts.
Time to wake up, everybody.
Now, next week, I think maybe it's 2 weeks from now, we'll be back to 1 hour, so don't freak out if you turn it in late. You're going to have to get up earlier. We're still doing a 2-hour show, by the way, when we go to 1 hour. We're just going to talk faster.
That's right.
We've always done a 2-hour show. At least now we can fit it in 2 hours, and we'll have to go back to an hour. So I have to cut down on some of the chit-chat. John over there is always yakking around about things.
So much to say.
So much to say. So little time. How you doing? We got a couple phone lines open, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. Like the text machine is back up and running. I got all kinds of little things to cover today. We got some, Mark Drobny has joined us. He's going to stay in for hour 2 of 2. We'll talk a little bit with Mark about some of the changes that are, at least as it stands right now, coming up for year end, and that might affect you. And he hinted there before the end of last hour, maybe the Facebook guys are cashing in because they want to, there's some tax advantages to do that. I've been carrying around this article for Mark for about, let's see, give me a date here, at least a month, because you never hear about this. You know, it's always the reverse. So the title is "Scammers Take Aim at Lawyers." So this is a turn on the lawyers. Have you heard this one yet, Mark?
No, the headline sounds like poetic justice, doesn't it?
it's just so law firms are becoming the top prey for email scammers who exploit lawyers' eagerness to take on new clients through the internet.
Oh, we get stuff like that every day.
Do you?
Oh my God, yeah.
So and you can tell me about what you guys are seeing. But I think that the Reader's Digest version of this is that they contact you, say I have a lawsuit or a settlement coming, and they go through a little bit of a scam. So, say I'm going to settle, and there's a settlement check is mailed. This is how this article goes. A settlement check is mailed to the law firm.
We haven't got that far yet.
You haven't got that far yet. Okay. No. So picture this. I have the John Frattarero law firm representing me. So I tell John, hey, I was involved in something, or I'm due a settlement from somebody, and I need you to help me resolve my issues. And if you do, I'll pay you a portion of my fee. So I carry this on for a little bit, and John thinks it's pretty legitimate. And pretty soon, John gets a FedEx in the mail, and there's a check in there payable to. I'm not sure if it's payable. I guess it's payable to him because he's the attorney representing me for, let's say, for $10,000 on the Tarbell case. So John, who thinks this is legit, takes it, deposits the $10,000 in his trust account.
Can't resist the opportunity. I mean, if the money's sitting there, you got to put it in. Yeah,
I got to put it in his trust account. Kicks me back my 70%. So he writes me a check and kicks me back a check for $7,000 out of his account. I cash my $7,000 check, and then John finds out 2 weeks later that the $10,000 was a scam. That $10,000 check was no good, and I'm long gone because he doesn't really know me. We've just been dealing with you either over the internet or the telephone. So I got my $7,000, and I screwed the attorney out of $10,000. I don't know where the problem is in this story. I don't get it. This all
sounds good to me.
This all sounds totally legit and totally on the basis here. But you're getting these emails too?
Well, we get a lot of solicitations almost every day from someone that says, I've got a huge
Nigerian
debt.
Settlement.
I have a huge debt from somebody, and I need a collection attorney. And will you help me on that? So we get a lot of solicitations for stuff like that. But those Nigerian scandals, I can't believe, because we do mostly estate planning and business planning, we have clients calling to say, I've got this, and it looks like I'm about to inherit a whole bunch of money from this long-lost relative that I have in some country that I didn't even know my family was from.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, one guy was like, and he goes, I got to take this much money and put it over there to open up the account. And it's a big part of his life savings. And I'm like, well, don't you have any other brothers and sisters? And he goes, well, yeah, I do. And I go, well, did any of them get the same letter? I'm not going to tell them. Then I'd have to share it with them. I'm like, it's like greed is
wow.
it is present. And this guy actually did against my advice. And I sent him a letter and told him not to do it. And he did. He took a big chunk of his life savings and sent it over there and lost it. We've had a client who got a call from the authorities in Houston that his elderly mother had gotten a call about some money in Amsterdam that she was going to, that she'd inherited, but she needed to bring, it was about $90,000 in cash there to open up the account. And so she went and took $90,000 out of the bank and was flying to Amsterdam through Houston. And fortunately, she'd forgotten her passport, and the authorities stopped her and found $90,000 in the suitcase and called her son. Had she made it through customs, she probably would have never been found again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The money or her?
Both.
Really?
Right.
Wow. And it's and I get those emails all the time. The Nigerian and they're all, at least according to this article, all the ones on the lawyers, and they probably the one guy who's doing the investigation on that says that he's already figured out about $70 million he's tracked back.
Crazy
in terms of lost fees, and he said, and it's very hard to investigate because what attorney wants to say, "Oh,
who wants to admit he got duped?"
Right, exactly.
I'm supposed to be the one duping, I'm not the duper. So they're having a very hard time tracking down how far this, and all of them track back to Nigeria. I don't know what it is about that region or why there is so much fraud that emanates from there, but it's amazing. But anyway, I thought I held that story for you. I thought it was poetic justice, as you're right.
Exactly. Not going to get a lot of sympathy there from anybody. And good luck finding a jury to.
Yeah, that's right. The jury would be like, not guilty, not guilty, guilty for not taking enough out of their hands. So yeah, you got to, they're after everybody. I saw there was a thing in the paper today too about, fake Facebook accounts where they're going on and they're copying your photos. Did you see that one? Was that in the Wall Street today, or was that in the Sacramento paper? But there are people going out and creating now a fake John Fodorero Facebook account, and because a lot of your other information is on your other site and the photos and different things, they just they cut and paste all the photos, they create a new account, and then they're able to either hack into your old account or get some emails or get some contacts by looking at your friends, and they start sending out emails to Mark and I saying, "Hey, this is John. I got a new account. And my car broke down. I'm over here in Alabama. I can't get back. I'm in real trouble. Can you send me some money?" And it looks and feels like your own account. And they said, boom, people are sending cash.
Crazy.
So if
people like me, I guess.
I'd say let him dope his own leg up and ride his bike back.
Yeah, you get those all the time. I'm here and I'm lost, and somebody stole my suitcase, and I need X amount of dollars. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But it's it always comes out
obviously
to sound
it
real
works,
legitimate.
or people wouldn't be doing it.
Absolutely.
There's no question it works. Speaking of money for doing nothing, we need to get on to. We need to get on to one of these committees. This was a. I've been complimenting the Sacramento newspaper quite a bit lately because they've actually had some what I like the term random acts of journalism. So there has been these are the select committees. These are the committees for different needs, organizations, different things in the state of California. Committees that people are getting paid, senators and other people are getting paid to be on these committees.
Cronies.
Committees that, according to the newspaper here, don't really meet very often, if at all. And these are you have to pick which one. I'll read you a couple here, and I'll tell you which one has the highest payroll for their committee of choice. And we can pick on any of these you want because the select committee staff per year pay fairly high. So let me see if I can find the biggest one here. I think we want to be on the Workforce Development, School Environment, and Student Wellness Committee. That is paying right now as a side job. And we may or may not meet in the next 12 months. Don't bother me if I haven't scheduled a meeting with you guys. $251,000 is the payroll for the committee membership.
Just for one person to be on that committee.
For committee, the dollar value represents the total annual salaries of aides currently assigned by the Rules Committee to a select Senate committee. Job duties often include serving as a member of the chairman or chairwoman's office of staff as well. So there could be a couple different individuals in there. And they tell you how many people are in that committee. So for example, that job, there's 3 people splitting $251,000 there. So that's not very good. We're going to have to find another. We need to find a one-person job here. It looks like all the one-person jobs are paying, somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000.
Does it list where we send our resumes, or?
Well, I don't know. First of all, apparently you have
governor's office.
You have to be a Democrat because there's not a single R next to any of these names.
You get appointed by the governor to those committees.
Yeah, is it by the governor only, or they just maybe it looks like they
might be some committees appointed by the Senate and the Assembly.
Yes, because Senate select committees tend to be staffed by full-time employees. Democrats lead the panel, so somebody up high gets to pick somebody. But there was a list of total expenditures, but there was 2, 4, 6, 8. There's about 22 committees here that, according to the Sacramento Bee, meet rarely, if not at all. So we need to I'm in the wrong job because in my committee, which is Get Your Butt Up and Go to Work committee, can pay pretty well and can pay pretty not so well.
And they meet every day.
And they meet hourly. And so anyway, I thought that if you didn't catch that article, and this is the kind of, and the article, the spinoff of this article is really going back to the governor's plan to try to raise more money, increase taxes. And now you're seeing, quite frankly, out of a paper that generally doesn't produce this kind of a report, you're starting to see, oh, we found $40 million over here in this fund. Oh, we've got all these committees that aren't meeting, that are getting paid all these monies. You're actually seeing some real behind the scenes, the amount of waste that goes on in our state, which is no different than our nation. But if you're going to come out and ask people to pay more money, you ought to be able to defend why we're paying all these fees and we're not getting up and, these people aren't meeting. Why do we have these committees? I thought it was a very good article, very informative, shed a little light.
Sac B doing it again.
And that goes back a little bit too. So they're putting it out there. We'll see what happens. I did note.
On the other hand, a lot of my clients are state employees, and the one thing that's controversial, certainly with the Bee, is anybody who works for the state, you can go online to the Bee's website and find out how much they make. And then when you retire, if you're making more than 100, they've been doing a series of reports like how many people are making 100,000 or more on their pension. And
there's a lot of them.
Very disturbing to the people who get their names in there.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yes. I bet it. Let's get to Robert, who's been patiently holding here. Hey, Robert, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks a lot, Jeff, for taking my call. I have a couple of questions. I guess one thing I wanted to say to start off, you can't cheat an honest man. So a lot of these guys that are getting cheated, they kind of had a greedy bone in their body to begin with.
Lawyers?
Are you talking about the lawyers? You're talking about the little old lady who was going to put all her money up for the inheritance, or maybe a little bit of both, huh?
All of them, yeah. Anybody that is getting scammed by those people, they think they're getting away with something. Most of them.
That's a good point. You can't cheat. You can't cheat an honest man. I have to write that one down. That might have to go up with my Oprah stating. That might be number 3, Robert. I like that. Go ahead.
And the other one is that there's a sucker born every minute. So you put those two together and you got the whole deal.
That's right.
Okay, here's my question. I have heard some of your ads, and I listen to you almost every Saturday. And so I'm curious, should I be renting my house, refinancing my house, or buying a house?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's a good question. The answer is yes to all three. So I'm guessing, and I wasn't paying attention in the break. There's an ad that I run that says, this might be a good time to rent out your existing house and buy the house of your dreams, and that ad is really a take on the fact that there are a large number of people that are sitting in a house that they can't sell because they're upside down in the house, and they don't want to short sell it, and they don't want to take that credit hit, and quite frankly, they don't need to. I mean, the house is, there's not a big desire to get rid of it, but they're looking around, they're saying, okay, look, if I could sell my house, I'd like to buy John's house or Mark's house, because I've been looking at these two houses for a long time. Mark's house used to be $1 million, and then it was $500,000, and now I can get it for $350,000. Wow, I mean, that's a good deal. I just can't get rid of my house, and the John's house is on the other side of town, and it's been doing likewise, coming down, and I'm thinking around, what am I going to do here? And there's such a tremendous rental demand right now for good, clean properties, and that if you can swing it and rent your existing house out, the financing is so phenomenal on that next house you want to buy. Kind of the gist of the ad, if you will, is that maybe you don't have to wait, for the market to pick your house up, because by the time your house price comes up, Mark's house will come back up, John's house will come back up, and rates will be 7%. You're going to look around and say, "Oh, forget it. I missed the window of time." So that's kind of what I'm getting at there a little bit is that if you could look at your existing opportunity, your existing house now, and say, okay, maybe I'm upside down in the HARP program, I could refinance and get the payment down. And now I'm down into a range where I probably, over the next year or so, I could probably rent this thing out pretty close to what I'm into it for payment-wise. And now Mark or John's house both look really attractive with a low down and good rates. So I think it is an important time to look around and say, if I'm going to make a move, nothing ever times out just perfect. You walk in and buy my house, and I get all my money out, and I walk over and buy Mark's house, and you pay me high price, and I pay him low price and rates. It doesn't work that way. It's always going to be inconvenient to do what to make that move. So, but that's kind of the gist, Robert. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's kind of what I was getting at in that ad.
Yeah, I got you. Now, I hadn't factored in the if you're upside down part of it, and that does make it a lot more attractive. But isn't that HARP program for owner-occupied?
It is not only for owner-occupied. It's for anybody who has a Fannie or Freddie loan. Now, if you're gonna do a refinance with the HARP and you're currently in your house, then do it while you're in your house. Do it as an owner-occupied because the pricing is better on it. Where you run into some trouble, and this goes for any kind of a refinance as a matter of course. So if Robert, if you come to me and say, hey, look, I want to buy another house, Jeff, but I want to refinance this house first, and you're already in contract to buy the other house, you're pretty much going to have to refinance your existing place as a rental property, even if you're in it currently, because if you're already in contract, you've already got something else picked out, you know what you're doing. You can't have two owner-occupied loans at the same time. And this is what happens when I go back to your comment, Robert, earlier. A guilty man gets, if you're kind of trying to cheat the system a little bit, it will catch up with you, and you'll see that someone will come into John and do a refinance, and they'll come into me to do a purchase, and they'll do the refinance as an owner-occupied, and they'll do a purchase with me 2 weeks later as an owner-occupied. And the underwriters will look and say, hey, wait a minute, Robert, there's a credit inquiry on your credit report from John Fodoraro Mortgage. And you say, yeah, I just refinanced. Well, you just refinanced as what? As an owner-occupied. Well, how could you possibly tell John and his company you're going to live in the house as a primary residence and tell me and my company you're going to live in the house as a primary residence? You can't do both. So you have to be a little careful about how you time out what you're doing and how you get those financing. Does that make sense? Mark's looking at me like that.
But what if I have a house and I've got the rate, and then I want to convert my existing home to a rental and buy a new primary residence?
Yeah,
I can still then have two owner-occupied loans that way, right?
You can.
But there's got to be a gap between those two events.
It really comes down to the intent.
Right.
So if Robert says, hey, John, refinance me because the HARP program is great. I want to get my payment down. And then he gets down, and Robert's driving around with his wife. The loan's done, and 2 months later, his wife drives around and says, hey, Robert, did you see that Drobny house is back on the market again? And look, he dropped his price again. Robert, I'm sick. We've been married for 20 years. The only way I'm going to go to your 21 is you better get me a new place. And so Robert says, okay, I'm going to make an offer on the Drobny house or I'm going to lose my wife. I mean, things change in life, and then it goes another two.
How come you know my wife?
we all know your wife, Robert. She's down. She called us earlier and told us to get you on the phone.
That's right.
Yeah, probably. That's probably true. Yeah.
So
it's all about intent.
It is about intent, and a little time gap in there doesn't help either. But so you have to be careful. So here's the one catch, and we got to take a break. So Robert says, I want to refinance, and I do want to buy Mark Drobny's house, but I'm upside down in my existing house. So Robert, you're going to have to qualify for your existing house payment and the house you're buying from Mark without the benefit of any kind of rental value for what you could get for your house. So even though in reality you're going to go rent it out and get $1,200 back, you got to qualify for both. So we're almost going to look at like when you're buying Mark's house, you're buying it as a second home. We're going to make you qualify for both of them. And that's where it gets a little tough. But if you can do it, boy, the timing is great. And if you're a move-up buyer and you're someone in that price range, maybe $400,000 to $800,000, there is more to look at. I'm not going to say that there's a ton of it, but there's more out there to look at, and the competition is a lot less because you're not dealing with all the cash buyers looking for investment properties. So you're a little different ball game there. So I hope that makes some sense to you, Robert.
Yeah, it does. It helped a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good explanation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you listening. We got to take a break. This is Talkin Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. We're going to do a quiz question when we come back. Let's do some more Mountain Lions football. And, we'll give away a few pair of those, too.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and that starts September 28th. 8 p.m. at the Rayleigh Field, not at Sac State, out at Rayleigh Field. The Sacramento Mountain Lions back at it again this year. We're happy to have their sponsorship and be glad to give away some tickets and go out and see some games. This is Talkin Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. That's John Fodoraro, and we're going to be
right back, Jack.